A character who foolishly sells the rights to recreate his likeness, bioprinters capable of printing out clone after clone of the same person, a story where two versions of someone coexist and they hate each other? This all sounds really smegging familiar. Greetings fellow dwarfers, so a few days ago the trailer dropped for a new sci-fi comedy coming out in January based on the novel Mickey 7, with the film being called Mickey 17. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, then I encourage you to go take a butcher's. Honestly, this does look kind of a fun film, I'm looking forward to seeing it, but there are some striking similarities to some of the stories in Red Dwarf that we've already seen over the years. We see a guy, Mickey, who signs away the rights to himself and ends up being printed over and over every time he dies, having to do really smeggy jobs, before eventually one version is mistakenly thought to have died, manages to survive, only to then run into the new version of himself that's already been printed out, and the two do not get along at all. But of course, Red Dwarf tackled the idea of duplicate yourselves way back in the 1980s with the episode Me Squared, after Rimmer ends up with a duplicate of himself who he thinks is going to be the perfect bunkmate, but as we all know, the two Rimmers don't get on at all. We end up with some absolutely brilliant blazing rows before one of them, of course, has to be deleted. Now, Red Dwarf did this as a brilliant comedic exploration of like self-loathing and your ego and the idea that sometimes the person we clash with the most is just a reflection of ourselves. I'm really interested to see when this film comes out if it's gonna, we could see that there's gonna be like a clash between the two versions of Mickey 17, but I really want to know if there's like with Rimmer in Me Squared, I really want to know if they're gonna go down the rabbit hole of not liking yourself and seeing like a bad reflection of you, well, perfect reflection of yourself, but seeing all of your imperfections and it driving you mad. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they go, where they go with this and how they approach it. Are we going to see something very similar to what we've seen with Red Dwarf, or are they going to take things in a different direction? There's also a big similarity to the Series 11 episode Officer Rimmer, where in that episode we had Rimmer finally achieving his lifelong goal of becoming an officer. Didn't really get there the way that you would expect, but after receiving officer privileges, Rimmer uses a bioprinter to create clone after clone of himself to populate his ideal crew. But we also got in that episode a brilliant conversation with Lister, Crichton and the cat, where Lister talks about having flogged his genome, flogged his unique identity as it were, to a company who have the right to print out as many versions of him as they want. The bioprinter printing out clone after clone of someone who sold away the rights to their body is so ridiculously similar to what was going on in Officer Rimmer. It's really fun how, once again, like with some episodes of Star Trek and other stuff, once again, Red Dwarf is leading the pack when it comes to great sci-fi ideas. Rob Grant and Doug Naylor should be really proud of themselves for being so far ahead of the trend. Now, of course, being a modern film, I do have that initial dread of it'll just be terrible like all modern films, no offence. But I'm interested in this one. I'm certainly intrigued. I saw Robert Pattinson in Tenet recently. Really enjoyed the character he played there, so he went up in my estimation after that, although went down while I was researching this because I found out he's the same age as me, but with a full head of hair. He's tall, handsome, in great shape, and women adore him. Bastard. So fellow dwarfers, I'd love to know your thoughts on Mickey 17. Are you intrigued by this? I know I am. I really want to see how they explore the different ideas of kind of meeting yourself. Are they just going to have it that they fight because only one of them's allowed to live, or are they going to have the Me Squared style of thing where you really fall out with yourself because who would drive you crazy like you can? I'm interested to see which way they take this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you want to see more from the Small Rouge one, click on this video here.